Gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis.
What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Yeah, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. You look good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. Monday, May 19th. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you're watching live on YouTube, we appreciate that. Up over 1,000 subscribers. That's a very good thing. If you have subscribed, thank you. If you haven't, shame on you. What are you waiting for? Get subscribed and then do me a favor. Tell like 1, 2, 10, 20 people about what we're doing each and every weekday right here in the Quad Cities, talking local sports and a whole bunch more. A lot to get to today. If you're watching on YouTube, as I mentioned, that's awesome. We are also live on X. We're live on X every single day as well. X has been very good to us. So if you do watch on that platform, we thank you. And also we're up on your podcasting platforms as well. So Spotify, Apple, you name it, iHeart. If there's a podcasting platform out there, we should be on it. If there's one that you have that you can't find us, let me know. We'll fix that ASAP. So as I mentioned, it is a Monday here in the Quad Cities. It's been a busy weekend. I spent my weekend watching youth baseball. 16 youth baseball games in my family this weekend. That's a lot. I have 1 million kids, so that's probably why. Also, they did pretty good. So I guess the good thing about that is we got to watch some decent baseball along the way. We'll talk some youth baseball with Pat Anger, as we always do, coming up in just a little bit. But a rainy Monday is a good thing. Sometime when you're out and about and crazy, it's a rainy, gloomy Monday. So stick with us. We'll get you through your Monday morning right here on Off the Air. A fun show coming up today. In a matter of moments, we'll be joined by Katy Hasson, the retiring principal over at Rockridge High School, also the board president of the IHSA. So so much to talk to about one of the good people in high school athletics and high schools in general. So we'll talk to Katy here in just a second. It is Monday, which means Pat Anger is on around 10:30-ish. Usually during the football season, we know what we're going to talk to Pat about. What I've learned is that I have no idea what we're going to talk to Pat about, but I also promise you it'll be entertaining. It may get us canceled at some points. We never know. But the one and only Pat Anger joining us around 10:30. And then busy weekend in golf. Scottie Scheffler winning the PGA Championship. So I called an old friend of mine, and she's not old, so I don't want to get in trouble. But Celia Palermo, one of my former coworkers at WQAD, now doing great things for the PGA Tour. She'll be along in the second hour of the show to kind of break down this weekend, look ahead to the John Deere Classic. Also, Celia is hosting The Drop on Golf Channel tonight. So we'll talk about that and encourage all the people in the Quad Cities that used to watch and love Celia to watch tonight as well. So a lot of good things to get to coming up on today's show. A few weekend headlines. Bad weekend in Iowa City for the Iowa baseball team. There still is no Big Ten championship. They were looking for the first one in the regular season since 1990. They got swept by Oregon. Oregon and UCLA share it. Iowa now the third seed in the Big Ten tournament. So a tough weekend for Iowa. We'll look to see if they can bounce back in the Big Ten tournament coming up later this week. Tough weekend for the Quad City Steamwheelers. They've now lost 2 straight. They lost their first home game to Tulsa, 36-34. I always took credit when they were 6-0. I don't know if I want to take credit if they're now 6-2, but we're going to get them back on track. We'll talk with the Wheelers coming up on Wednesday. We'll have our Steam Wheeler Wednesday coming up on Wednesday. We mentioned Scottie Scheffler, Celia Palermo coming up in a little bit. And then a big weekend, WNBA tipped off on Friday. And it's weird for me because if you would have told me 5 years ago, I had my own show and I was doing this in my loft, I thought you would have been crazy. But that I would be talking about the WNBA season starting up and how big it is, I would have thought you were crazy. But it is. It's a huge thing. Lots of eyes on it. Obviously, Caitlin Clark and several others have a big thing to do with that. The Fever looking very good. Caitlin Clark, a triple-double. So coming up later this week, we're going to chase down Chloe Peterson from the Indianapolis Star. She's doing a great job covering the Fever. She's been on before. So we'll talk a little Caitlin Clark and Fever coming up later on this week as well. That's all later this week. We start this week, though, with a familiar face. Katy Hasson joining me live in studio. I figured it out. If I just continue to have Rockridge people on, they come in studio.
That's right.
So it's a beautiful thing. Katy,
you're right here in our backyard. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you for making the short drive over. It's a weird couple weeks for you because after 30 plus years in high school, administration, teaching, coach, all that kind of stuff, you're retiring. Now, first and foremost, she started when she was 5. So, yes, she's still 40. What's this? I don't want to say week because you have plenty of things to get to. I think end of June is when you're officially done. But what's this last couple months been like, these last couple weeks been like as you slowly wind down your tenure?
Well, the whole school year has been a series of lasts. The last time doing things. And, I've been more about, people ask me, how many days have you got left? And I'm really not counting days. I'm counting events, things that I have to check off the list. And the last couple of weeks have been pretty busy. Last week was the last awards night, big awards night, academic awards night at Rockridge High School, which is always a big deal. We hosted a girls track sectional, and I run the timing system for the girls track sectional. So that was a busy night. Graduation rehearsal. Graduation itself was yesterday afternoon, beautiful day. And able to get through all of that ceremony. And now as I go into this last week of school, it's, I get to be here on this podcast this morning. So that's cool.
That's
a cool way to kick off the last full week of school. And then we're hosting the boys track sectional on Thursday night. And that'll kind of wind things down. And then, going into the postseason of our spring sports and it's surreal. It hasn't really hit me yet, but it will.
There's so much I want to talk to you about and obviously I'm doing math in my head, so help me. 19 years?
19 years at Rockridge.
At Rockridge. And so when I'm doing sports for 25 almost years at WQAD, that's where I associate Katy Hasson with. And a lot to talk about with that school, that community, all that kind of stuff. But I want to start with yourself when you realized this is the path you wanted to take. So 30 plus years in education, coaching, all those kind of things. An athlete yourself at Cambridge, where I almost said where you met your lovely husband, but that's not how you say it. It's where you met your lovely wife, your handsome husband. there you go. When did you realize that this was kind of the path you wanted to take?
Well, I always knew I wanted to go into education. I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. Thought at first, maybe elementary ed and coaching. Got to Augustana, and obviously, honestly, my freshman year at Augie, had a human anatomy course with Dr. Bob Talich, legend over there at Augustana, great professor, and got into his human anatomy course and thought, okay, this biology thing's okay, and ended up being a bio major and secondary ed. Got to student teach at Rock Island High School with Bob Motz, another legend. And that just set me down the path in education, became a high school biology teacher, did that at Rova High School for a total of 13 years. And during that time, coaching, I coached volleyball and basketball at junior high and high school level. Ended up being varsity volleyball coach there at Rova for a while. And then Bill Whalen, who was the longtime AD at Rova, was nearing retirement. And I got the opportunity to move into the athletic director position to follow him. And that was just kind of a natural fit, organization, scheduling, those types of things, that I moved into that AD position. And then that led me to get going on my administrative degree and into the principalship. You
mentioned Rova, and I know you're a Cambridge girl. So, and now at Rockridge. And I'll tell people all the time, and I love Moline, Rock Island, all those kind of things, but it's just different sometimes at a smaller school. And that's been your path. What is it about smaller schools that it just seems different sometimes? Yeah, I love the small school environment, just the whole community aspect of things. The opportunity, as a teacher, as a coach, and then as an administrator, everybody in the building. And most of their families, their story a little bit more than if you were at a big school. Not that you don't have that personal connection in a bigger school, but that small school environment. I'm a small school kid at heart. And you get to Rockridge, and I talk about how there's something in the water there because, and I married a Rockridge girl, so I'm a little biased or a lot biased. Not, she doesn't watch this, but just in case somebody talks to her. It's such a special community. What drew you to Rockridge? Take me through that process getting there. And I know that you and Tom have built such a great foundation there at Rockridge.
Yeah, it started because Tom got hired at Aledo. He came to Aledo as a teacher and a coach in 1999, and I was still teaching at Rova. And so he was driving from Oneida to Aledo every day. And I got into my administrative program and actually spent 2 years as middle school principal at Lombard Middle School in Galesburg. That was my first building principalship. And while I was doing that, Jim Widdop was at Rockridge at the time and was going to be leaving to go into work at the ROE, and gave me a call and said, "Hey, just want to let you know I'm leaving Rockridge. This is a great school district, a great job, great gig. I know Tom's, as he said, I know Tom's over at Aledo, and, that could bring you both over here closer together." And he says, you might want to give it a shot. And so I did. I applied and got hired as a junior high principal at Rockridge, and the rest is history.
You look at Rockridge, and I don't know if you knew athletically what was to come, and not that it wasn't great before
it
that.
was.
I mean, it was already a great tradition of sports, but you look at, and I'm trying to do math in my head again, which is bad, but were you there right after the softball championship?
The first one,
05 was the first, because my son Carson and Liz Watkins' son Carson plays baseball together, so we were talking about it yesterday, but when you get there, the softball's obviously booming. What did you see? I always joke that there's something in the water out here, but it's obviously been blessed with great talent.
Yeah, without
but
a doubt.
but it's more than that. Obviously, there's some talented kids that came through there, and we'll talk about them in a minute. But the community, the sport, all that kind of stuff. Could you see it from the jump that like this is a special place when it comes to this kind of stuff?
Yeah, because honestly, as I got the job at Rockridge, and we were looking to move over here with at the time our daughter was going into 5th grade.
Yeah.
And we bought a house in the Rockridge district because we understood the tradition and the success of Rockridge, and so that's where we landed in terms of having Devin go to school and become a Rocket.
When you look at successful high schools in sports as well, it's not just coaches, it's players, coaches, but administration all the way to the top. And that's one thing at Rockridge I've always seen. Kind of talk about that, because in order to, everybody's got to be on the same page, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And you get that as a an athlete and a coach and all those kind of things. Talk about, as a principal, knowing what you need to know when it comes to having everybody work in the same direction.
Well, and I think part of it comes from my background. I was an athlete, I was a coach, I was an athletic director. So having that mindset and that knowledge base, to understand now as a building administrator how to oversee that and how to integrate and keep the things that are important, to help everybody be successful, while still maintaining high expectations in the classroom as well. And they feed upon each other. I've always said it throughout my career that, when your extracurriculars are doing well, everything goes well in the school. It's not to say there aren't problems, because there always are. There's always issues to deal with and fires to put out. But when your teams are doing well, when your music program's being successful, when your FFA chapter's successful, when all those things are doing well, the families are supportive, the kids are happy, and things are going well in the classroom, and then that breeds academic success as well. And that's what it's all about, is putting it all together.
Yeah, it's been put together. I just went brainstorming today, and I'm not going to go any further back than when you've been at Rockridge, I don't think. I hope I get my years right, but and I'm going to miss names, but when you talk of the athletes of Liz we just mentioned, and Tyson Blazer and Ethan Happ and Carson Frakes and Kendra Lewis, and I'm forgetting a boatload of others. What is it about those kids? My opinion is all those kids have one thing in common. I missed a ton, so keep throwing names as we go. They're all super hardworking. Yeah. And they're good kids. And I always said, doing this, there's very few bad kids. But there's some that don't have their, I don't know, I probably got to be careful, but sometimes and parents have a big thing to do with it. Sometimes, ever so often, it's like, I don't know. You can tell with a Rockridge kid, for the most part, every part, that like they're good kids and they're doing it for the right reasons and all those kind of things.
Yep, for sure.
The support they got from families and all those kind of things. What do you see from the kids that we've kind of talked about?
Well, the family support is huge. That starts the foundation of it. The work ethic, the dedication to what they want to get done. Is another big thing. And like you said, they're good kids. They've been raised right. The community, the old phrase, it takes a village. And there's a pretty darn good village out in Southwest Rock Island County that allows our kids to grow and be successful in what they're doing. And yeah, there's dozens of them, that have come through Rockridge and have done amazing things, and we're so proud of them.
I want to start with softball. We'll kind of break a few of them down. And I told Kendra and Peyton, who are both recently in here, like, yes, you guys had your dynasty, but Rockridge softball. And then Kendra was just like, oh my gosh, I used to beg my mom to go outside on a freezing March day just to watch the softball game and all those kind of things. That program from 2005, maybe even before then, has been so good. What is it about that program that it's made it so successful?
Well, and I think just exactly what you said, the little girls, the Kendra Lewises and all of those kids that look up to the Liz Watkins era. And Liz had girls that she were looked up to. And just the tradition of success that is built and the continuity that has maintained over the years, and you've seen it in the softball program, the boys basketball program. I love the pictures of seeing Landon Wheatley and Landon Bull and Caleb Kunico as little guys watching the Gentry Whiteman, Carson Frakes era. The Luke Johnsons and the Nolan Stevens and the years before them, and Ethan Happ and Brian Heath and all of those guys, the continuity of looking up to the generation ahead of you and having that younger generation model that and want to be there next. That's the real cool thing. And I think we see that across all the sports, the football players, the volleyball players. When we have youth nights, it's nuts. Brock has figured it out. Brock Boehner, our new AD, and Daphne Graves before him. We figured it out that, we want to strategically set up those youth nights, to help our gate, to help the foundation of not only how many people we're going to put in the stands at the game, but also to set it up so that those younger players see the older ones and emulate that.
You mentioned the players and keep saying names because I'm going to get, as you're talking, like, oh my gosh, Brian Heath, of course. And like, there's just too many. Carson Frakes, and we're going to talk about his shot in a second too, but it's the coaching too. And as much as I like to give all those guys a hard time, it starts with softball, with the coaching staffs you've had, and John, what he did. They've been blessed with really good coaches that I loved what John said when he was here. He said, I didn't coach Rockridge. I'm not coaching Augie like I coached a high school team. I coached Rockridge like I was going to coach my eventual college team. And you look at what Andy Say's doing at United Township now, and Toby, God bless him. I'm going to try to say something nice about him, but it's as good as it gets when it comes to coaching, which I feel like I now have to go take a shower.
Yeah, I mean, Toby said it best, when we had the run in 15 and 16 with the boys basketball, those first two trips to state, I distinctly remember him at postseason stuff and awards banquets and so forth thanking the parents for allowing them, meaning he and Andy and Jeff Henry, to coach their kids hard.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said for that, because in today's day and age, a lot of parents don't allow their kids to get coached hard. And that doesn't mean that you're not abusing them. You're not ridiculing them. You're not belittling them. You're not bullying them. But you're allowing your kid to be challenged and pushed to reach the highs that they can reach and to excel. And it takes special kids to allow that to happen and families to allow that to happen. But it takes a special group of coaches to figure out how to get that out of their kids. And we've had some of the best come through, some that you've mentioned, guys that are there now, Jeff Henry, Lucas Smith, Sam Graves, Daphne Graves with our golf program, Leanne Fryermuth, Sean Strahan, go down the list, Jackie Peterson, those are some of them that we've got right now. I know I can't, I'll forget them, and I'm sorry, guys. But, or even going back in the past and going all the way back to the Rick Amy era. And what they did to lay that foundation, it's a credit. It's a credit to what we've got going on.
100%. And that's the thing nowadays. It's not just about people think that if you're coached hard, you're being mean. And
right.
It's not. And those guys have the kids. They see potential, and they want to get as much out of it as they can. You mentioned some basketball stuff, but it is crazy to sit back and look in your tenure or while you're there that you had 4 state runs and 2 years swing where Toby with Andy is the assistant, and then another 2-year swing where they flipped.
Yep.
And Andy was. So who's a better coach? Andy Say or Toby Reitman?
No.
Nobody's
not going
listening.
there.
Nobody's watching.
Nobody's watching.
Yeah.
No, not going there.
It's just you
not
and me.
Not going there. No,
I'm
they
kidding.
both do a great
Everybody
job.
knows that Toby's the better coach.
And they each, and that's the beauty of it. They each have their own. Their own strengths and their own way of doing things. And you throw Jeff Henry into that mix in the basketball program. And, it's similar to, when my husband Tom coached with Cully Welter at Alito. They had a great staff there of a bunch of former head coaches that all got together on that staff and helped them do some amazing things at Alito as well. But they each did things their own way. To reach the kids.
That's in any sport too. You go to the NFL level, all these things. It's not just the head coach. They get a lot of the credit and a lot of the blame,
right? But
it's who you have with you, and they've had great people in the building as well.
Yep.
Is there a moment that you like if he's and one is hard? It's like picking your favorite kid, which is Chase for me. But no, I'm kidding. I always say that my other kids get mad. Is there a moment or two that you think of when it comes to athletics at Rockridge High School that you're like, man, that was it?
Well, I mean, obviously, and I said this, Corey had me on the score last night, and we recorded that earlier in the week. And, without a doubt, the Carson Frakes shot at state.
Where were you? Where were you sitting? Where were you?
So I was, Scott Daly and Scott was our AD at that time. And that was the first year that the IHSA down there at Peoria gave the participating schools a little pit section of students.
Okay.
And so we had, I don't know what we got, 50 or 75 tickets that we got to have some kids down in the end zone area. And so Scott and I were sitting right there in the end zone, and it was coming at us. So we saw the shot coming at us. Saw Gentry fall. We're thinking, oh, it's over.
Strategically fall down.
Strategically fall, yes. Yes, and get the ball to Carson, who right away I saw he let it go with his left hand, and he's a right-handed shooter. That's the other part of that story that just, is just amazing.
Yeah.
It was coming at us. And Scott and I jumping up and down, and then of course the kids are all over the place, our players on the floor, and we're trying, and so we instantly went out on the floor to help get that collected, and just craziness.
It's funny because, and I've told this story on this show, I tell it all the time, but I started my day in Indianapolis, and I broke a bunch of rules. So I love Matt Troha, one of my favorite people, and he just does things so well. And he realizes that the media has a job to do, but he's also taking care of the kids, and he just balances everything awesome. But it happened, and we were getting ready to go live, and so I'm kind of tethered. And so I go running out there. I got a photographer, my buddy Scott Weiss, with me. And I know darn well that they have a 5-minute cooling off period.
Yep.
And I look, and Matt had known where I had been that day because I didn't go to Indianapolis with a credential because I didn't think I'd ever be going to Peoria. And so he had known, and I said, hey, I can be live in 3 minutes. Can I have him? And he looked around and he goes, you're the only one here. You get it. And I remember talking to Toby, and he's like, I don't even know what just happened.
Know what to say.
The coolest thing about that night for us was after all was said and done, we were editing some stuff for social media probably and sitting on a laptop in the hallway or in the tunnel, and Carson came by, and my photographer Scott Weiss is like, Carson, have you seen the shot? He's like, no. So we sat him down and I played it for him, and watching his reaction. And then we got done and he left. I looked over and Wheezy was putting his camera away. I'm like, what? And he goes, oh, I shot that entire thing. I'm like, that is brilliant.
awesome.
He goes, watching his reaction
Yes.
of his shot
Yes.
was just awesome.
Yeah,
So, and Carson's been so good.
I don't know if it was one of you guys or one of the other, talk to his parents. I think the next night, and just amazing.
We owned that thing. Trust me. We knew what we had, and we were going to run the heck out of it.
Absolutely.
And it did feel. Go ahead.
Oh, and I was going to say the other cool thing about that whole weekend, we the team on the other end of that, was Hales Franciscan out of Chicago, a small school that actually closed the following fall.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist anymore. They put us up in the hotel. All the teams are in the Pierre Marquette or the adjoining courtyard, right there in the hotel. And our guys were on a same floor as the Hales guys.
Oh, wow.
And before we even played, they had already interacted. That was when they still did the banquet.
Yeah.
So they got to know the guys, before game night. And the other reason that things worked out well for you on the floor was that was the last game of the night.
Yes. 100%.
They weren't clearing the floor to get another game started. So there was a little bit of leniency, if you will, on how they were going to close the night. But the rest of the story of that is after that game, our guys all go back into the hotel to try to get to sleep after that.
Yeah.
They're up in the morning until 3 a.m. playing video games with the Hales kids in the hotel.
Which explains the results of the state championship game. No, I'm kidding. It's funny because Jim Matson called me down in Peoria, legend. He's been on the show. And he's like, hey, I got my radio show in the morning. Do you think Toby would come on my show? And I'm like, yeah, I'll send you his number. Let me give Toby a heads up that you're trying to get a hold of him. And this has got to be, because we did a bunch of work there, then we got some food, and we're going back. It's got to be 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I called Toby, and I texted him. I think he called me back, and he's like, aren't you sleeping? He goes, I'm literally, my wife just kicked me out of the room. And she's like, you can't even, she's like, I'm just walking around trying to figure out what just happened.
Tom and I were the same way. We got back up to the hotel room, and we looked at it. I'm like, I'm not tired. So we went across the street to Hoops.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I got home the next morning, and I watched my oldest now watch it on replay. We recorded it, and then he went down to the basement. What year was this? This was
2016.
Okay, so Charlie's, he's probably a 6 or 7, and he went down to the basement and he reenacted the shot over and over again, which was really cool.
Yeah. So you can't. That whole thing, but I'd be remiss without giving another highlight of kids, at Rockridge, and I'll try to get through it. In that, watching my own daughter.
Oh yeah.
She won 6 state medals in track.
Yeah.
And although I wasn't on the board yet, so I didn't get to present her medals, Matt Troja did hook me up with a field pass, so I did get to watch from the field her senior year. But to be able to watch her, do great things and to see your own kid is amazing. So sorry.
No, absolutely. It's funny because I was on a View from the West podcast with Nick Bull recently. We just did one last week. People should listen to it. We all talk about Friday night memories. Dan Pearson, Corey, myself, and like Bully got the same way to be able to do it. So I totally, I do, and not to make you get emotional again, but I'll also remember when it comes to the Hassons, getting the hearing that Tom had the accident on the way back from where were you? Back from Peoria.
Back from Peoria. That was 2018. It'll be 7 years now.
Yeah, and first off, the horror and the prayers and all that kind of stuff, but the way the community rallied to you guys, championships are great. Trust me, medals, championships are great, but I think that says 10 times more about Rockridge
for sure.
When it comes to the way they kind of rallied around you guys.
Yeah. So it was a Saturday, June 1st. We had been down to Peoria watching the state semifinal in softball, and Katie Garrett hit a walk-off single, RBI, to drive in the winning run to put us in the state championship game in 2018. And it was hot. Oh, it was hot that day. And I had driven. I was staying for the weekend because I was on the board. Tom and Sean Strahan had ridden their motorcycles down for the weekend.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to come back Friday
they're
night.
cool.
Yeah, they're cool. They wanted to come back. They needed to come back because Tom had he wanted to go to a graduation party and a wedding. One of his former Alito kids was getting married on the Saturday. And so we had split up and we're going opposite directions, and he was going to go to those events. So he and Sean rode home. We had dinner afterwards at the Burger Barge in East Peoria, and they
Great place.
loaded up the bikes and they headed home. And just as they crossed 67 at dusk, a deer ran out in front of Tom. And unfortunately, as he tried to swerve to miss it, he got thrown from his bike and crashed and spent 2 weeks in Iowa City. And another week back at Genesis here in Davenport in rehab.
But you can't keep a good man
can't keep him down.
No.
Nope. And yeah, the way the kids rallied, I mean, right away, at that time, Daphne Graves was an assistant coach along with Liz. And they're both, texting me, how's he doing? But also, things like, what's his favorite color? And he's a Vikings fan, so it's purple. And so the girls right away, they've got purple ribbons on their shoes for the state championship.
And Liz texted me that morning and was like, hey, we're doing this. This is what's going on.
Yeah. And so, the way the community rallied around that. And then, the girls, you're going to get me, the girls and Coach Nelson, they didn't want to have their welcome back ceremony after winning the state championship until Tom could be there.
No.
And so if I don't know if you remember, but then they did it the first football game in the fall.
Yeah.
And you guys were there.
Remember,
You guys were there. And
Tom was there too.
Yeah, he was there and
he
fully
didn't
recovered.
want to do an interview.
He didn't want to do an interview.
He was I'm like, come on, man. Like, this is all you're kind of the thing. You got to help us. And he did. And he did great. Well, that's a great story, except for the Viking fan thing. Like, everything was great until I thought that's what the tears were about. Is that you married a Vikings fan. So I want to talk to you about your other role that you're no longer going to be doing. You're the IHSA board president.
I'm on the board. I'm no longer the president.
Okay.
I hit my limit of years as officer, but I am still on the board. Yes.
Gotcha. And IHSA and what I got to do for 25 years in covering high school sports, and it's something that Dan Perch and Dan Pearson ingrained in me about what this, not just this area, which is better here, but the whole state. When you look at the IHSA, as you get ready to walk away from that, what are the things that you're confident about? I guess we'll start there with the confident about the future, and then we'll talk about the things that might concern you moving forward.
I mean, though, it's a great organization. It's going to be celebrating 125 years.
Wow.
The next school year of being a member school led organization. Our bylaws are proposed and approved by the member schools. We've tried our best to, and that's probably a negative thing coming, tried our best to keep the state legislature, out of it and let the schools, create their own bylaws and enforce their own bylaws through the board, and to be a member-run organization. Very proud of it. Very proud of the staff that I get to work with. They're the ones doing the grunt work every day. Craig Anderson, who's a high school classmate, that's the executive director, and a dear friend of mine. He and Tom were roommates at Monmouth. Doing great things as the executive director, and all the associate executive directors, and the job that they do day in and day out, making sure that tournaments run without a hitch, that everybody has what they need, and that the student athletes, student participants get a great experience, whether it's a sport or an activity. It's always run at the top level. So that's definitely the thing I'm most proud of, is how that'll go into the future, to help allow kids to have those experiences.
When you look at sports in general, it's funny. I had Kirk Ferentz on a few weeks ago, Brett Bielema on Friday. I talked about the college football world. It's just college sports in general. And then I just mentioned 16 stupid baseball games. I love my kids. But this weekend, and they were fun. And I say that half joking, but there's that side of things. So you're looking at the travel AAU sports world on one end before high school, and then the craziness of college. How does it trickle up and down to high school, and is that a concern?
It's a big concern. It's making it very difficult at the IHSA level to try to stay within the lane that we're in within our bylaws, within our rules of education-based athletics, and you play for the school where you go to school, where you live, and I know that, private schools have their different rules in terms of where they draw their students from. But unfortunately, the whole idea of, transfer portal and switching schools and all of that kind of stuff is definitely trickling down from the college level. And it's also moving up from the youth sports level, because, travel sports and you don't like this team, so you go play for a different team.
Or you
next
start
year.
your own team.
Or you start your own team. And you pull kids from wherever you want. But the heart and soul of education-based athletics and representing your school and your community and the place where you live, that's at the heart of it. And that needs to be preserved and maintained. And it's the IHSA is fighting a tough battle to keep that.
How do you keep it? Is there an answer? Is there a rule? Is there not a rule? Is there a path moving forward? Because it is tough. And it's funny because you look at travel. I always tell my kids and their friends and any youth and young person to listen, I covered high school sports forever. And that should be the goal. I know I get, I love Chasing Randall, Ethan Happ, all these guys that are playing college and pros and all those kind of things. And those happen and those are awesome. But for the large majority of it, the goal should be to represent your school and play high school sports. So how do you preserve that with, I don't want to say silly parents, so I'm not, but and not just parents, but a lot of people, they're thinking, how am I going to get my kids to the professional level?
Right.
I always say baseball wise, and I haven't done the math on other sports, but I've covered 3 Major League Baseball players in 25 years.
Yeah.
I've covered a lot of baseball players and only 3. So how do you put the focus back on high schools again?
Yeah. And not only that, but to piggyback off that, even, chasing a scholarship. Well, even the scholarship is very tough to obtain, as well. And, you can.
And which sport?
Yeah.
Because
which sport? Yeah.
Some you're going to be like, I just dumped a bunch of money into this my whole way. And then I got a little bit of money because you don't always get a full ride and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Exactly. So, I think the heart and soul of it is still maintaining, maintaining the idea of the public school and the residency in the district. And that's who you play for. You play for where you live, and where your family lives, not where you might try to do other things to get around where you say I live. Yeah. And fighting the battle of the rules and trying to level the playing field of the private school issue. In my time on the board, I've gotten to know some wonderful people who lead non-boundary schools, that lead private schools and are doing great things. And many of them are doing it absolutely the right way. With the people that grow up in their school community, in their parish community, or whatever that might be, and who reach their students and recruit their students the right way. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's that small handful that don't do it the right way. Yeah. That, for lack of a better way to say it, are ruin it for everybody else. And how do we try to mandate, rules and guidelines and bylaws and policies to try to reach that? And, from the IHSA level, I think we're trying. We've made some changes this spring to our classification policy and the way we calculate it, and the way that the frequency at which we take a look at enrollment yearly now instead of every other year. How we are managing the waiver to the multiplier. I know there's going to be a look at, because the multiplier is bylaw, and bylaw has to take place through the membership in the fall cycle. Yeah. Policy are things that the board can change. And we did change some policy this spring in how the waiver can be applied for, of whether or not the multiplier goes on your enrollment or doesn't. And some of those things, we're trying to address and we're trying to change. And I think there will be more coming as the IHSA goes into the fall bylaw cycle that may address some of that stuff as well.
I was listening to, and I'm sorry you had to go through it, but Ty and Jim Taylor had you on their show. Yeah. So I apologize that you and Tom both had to deal with those two knuckleheads. But you kind of talked about how the amount of appeals, I think is the right word. Yeah. It used to be like this, and now it's like, and that's more frequent with what we live in these days.
Exactly. And many times, most of the time, we're told, well, they transferred because of X, Y, or Z, and it wasn't about sport, but we wanted to be able to play their sport. Yeah. So here we are, pleading our case trying to go against what the bylaws say, which is the manner in which you transferred was not within our bylaws, and therefore you're not eligible for this amount of time.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And I think part of it is also society as a whole that's becoming more litigious. If I don't like being told no, I'll find somebody else who maybe will say yes, or I'll sue them to try to get them, get the courts involved. And that's just our society as a whole.
It's funny. My last little story on this is that it was 2012, 2014, something like that. And I'm covering state football, and it was one of those years, and Alleman was playing down there, and Mercer County, I think, was there as well. And I remember looking in the Alleman enrollment, and you can talk about like some schools that do it correctly and some that don't. And I get the ones that don't, but like the multiplier was there. So I think Alleman had, I'm guessing here, like 695 point whatever. And I'm like, and I joked with like, I hope that 0.23 guy shows up. And like, I look at the roster and like, cause I know the kids, and I think there were 2 kids that came from the Iowa side that were in Catholic schools over there. And then that it was like Jordan Seaton, like, and all that kind of stuff. So like, I think that's the thing that's frustrating is some do it correctly.
Right.
And then you get the ones that do it correctly that are like, why am I doing it correctly? If I'm going to get punished for not doing it correctly, I might as well not do it correctly. So it's a crazy, crazy thing. Before I let you go, what's next for the Hassons?
Yeah.
Like what are you guys going to be doing? And I love talking to you about this beforehand because I'm jealous. Go ahead.
Well, my answer, people say, what are you going to do when you retire? And my answer right now is whatever I want.
That's why I'm
when
jealous.
I want.
That's why I'm jealous. Yes.
For years, my schedule has been, and Daphne Graves, my assistant principal, former AD, gives me a hard time about it at school because, something will be thrown out at a date and I'll know, what's on the calendar that day. Because I've been ingrained in what the school calendar is and what the IHSA calendar is. 3 years ago, my daughter was getting married and she decided on Memorial Day weekend. I'm like, Devin, that's state track meet.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm not going to state track meet that year, or, those types of things. And so it's been ingrained in me. And so to be able to walk away from that and let my calendar be whatever I want it to be, we're still sports fans. We're still going to go to games. Tom's got guys that played for him at Aledo that are now coaching. We're going to be able to go watch them play. Kelly Welter coaching down at Monticello. We're going to be able to go watch a Monticello game, and it doesn't matter if Rockridge is home or away that week and who they're playing. We can go. So we'll look forward to doing a lot of that. We plan on playing a lot of golf. Tom and I are both golfers and plan on playing a lot of golf.
I got to get you guys into the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf outing. I got to figure out a way to sneak you in. And grandparents now,
and grandparents.
too.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to say. And, referring to golf, I'm looking forward to being able to play in August, September, and October because I never get to play in those months. And there's some great golf weather in those months. But yeah, we're grandparents. Our grandson, Luke, is 9 months old.
Oh,
and Devin and Nick, Devin and Nick live out in the Iowa City area, so they're not too far away. And so we're looking forward to being able to spend a lot of time with.
You hear that,
him.
Guys? Grandma and Grandpa want to come babysit all the time.
Yep. Like we had him Mother's Day weekend. They were out of town for a wedding, and so we got to have him for the weekend. And it was awesome.
And then you got to give him back.
That's
what my dad always used to say. I love it when they go. Come on, I love it when they go as well. So there's no better in the business. I mean this.
Thank you.
You've been great to me. You've been great to WQAD and all those stuff. And more importantly, forget like Cuff and myself but the kids. Like there's not a single person. I've never met anybody that has anything bad to say about Katy and Tom except for the Vikings thing. Like is good as gold too. So best of luck. Enjoy retirement. The beauty thing is you ain't going anywhere. We'll go. We can go golf.
There you go.
I'm doing something.
We play at Cambridge. Still play at Valley View out in Cambridge. My mom and dad are over there still, and Tom's mom is there. So we're in a nice spot. I love it. Well, enjoy retirement. Thanks. And now get back to work. Yep, got to go back to work. All right, we got more to get to here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Coming up after the break, we're going to go from one of the classiest people I've ever met to Pat Anger. It's a slippery slope, but we got Pat and much more right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. We'll be right back. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak
with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Quad Cities, are you brave enough for halfway to Halloween? Friday, May 16th, the Steamwheelers battle on Tulsa in a night of haunted hits and bone-crushing indoor football action. It's spooky fun for the whole family, complete with a haunted house and high-flying IFL football that'll leave you howling. Snag your tickets now at steamwheelersfootball.com/tickets and come get scared and entertained. Friday night, May 16th, presented by Asylum of Bad Dreams and Slick Willie Radio.
The PGA Tour swings into the Quad Cities again this summer, and you don't want to miss it. The John Deere Classic brings golf, music, magic, and more to TPC Deer Run, July 2nd through the 6th. Wednesday, July 2nd is Youth Day, and ages 15 and under are free all week, making it perfect for the whole family. Stick around after the golf on the weekend for the concerts on the Course Series, featuring country superstar Dierks Bentley on Saturday, and Grammy Award-winning Zac Brown Band on Sunday. Come for the golf, stay for the party. Visit JohnDeereClassic.com to get your tickets before they sell out.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. It's a chilly, cold, nasty Monday outside. We want to thank Katy Hasson for making her way over from Rockridge High School, one of the classiest people you'll ever meet, retiring after 30 plus years in scholastic activities. So we thank her for making the time to join us. And as I mentioned before the break, we go from one of the classiest people I've ever met to our weekly chat with the second classiest person I've ever met.
Thank you, sir.
Pat Anger.
Appreciate that.
Hey, buddy, you just hanging out
Not
in
what
your
you
car?
said before the break.
No, I changed it. Katy said to me, she's like, that was mean. And I reevaluated it, and it was mean. I don't want to start off the week mean. How are you,
if
buddy?
you're being nice to me, there's something wrong.
No, I'm always nice to you. You're one of my favorite people. You know that.
How are you? You
good.
Still got this gig? You're still doing this radio thing or whatever it is? What is this, streaming?
Slowly but surely, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure, it's almost, I'm guessing it's not going to last a year, but we're getting close to 6 months, which is crazy. How's your weekend?
Talking about your marriage or what?
No,
Or
that's God bless her heart. She loves a charity case, and
She does.
she's working hard at it. How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was probably the same as yours, just at meaningless baseball games.
Where were you at this weekend? You wouldn't, and I want to bring up that I texted some buddies, some close personal friends that I thought, and I was like, hey, where are you guys at this weekend with your kids? And you said, I'm not telling you. And you never told me. Where were you at?
You never give up your location, man.
Well, okay, now that it's over, where would you guys? Did all of them play?
Just the boys. Kale was at Crow Creek and Emmett was at Eldridge. Just same tournament. It was the Bettendorf Slugfest. Same tournament, but yeah, it was good. Where were you at?
I had one at Crow Creek, and I never went there. Jen kept saying, "Oh, let me go to Crow Creek. Oh, let me go to Crow Creek." Now things are starting to connect and add up a little bit. So,
yeah, no big deal.
Jeez, take it easy. And then we were at Hitman and Douglas Park, which, by the way, Douglas Park and Rock Island, they've done an awesome job with it. Like, it's really, really nice. So they used Douglas Park. It was kind of part of the Hitman tournament this weekend as well. Dude, I had 16 baseball games this weekend. 16.
That's ridiculous, man.
It's nuts.
That's wild.
And I don't even it gets to a point where and this sounds bad, but I don't even want to, I just want to check out my kids at bats. And then after a while, I don't want to check out my kids at bats. But no, I'm kidding. They all played pretty good and stuff. So
I sat there. I was sitting there with some dads, and it was like we're halfway through the 12th game or whatever. I was like, guys, this is boring. This is terrible. What are we doing? And they're like, yeah, this sucks. It was just, we all kind of had this realization that this is so stupid. And then you got the other coach that's yelling at this 14-year-old ump about some call that's meaningless. It's like, what's everyone doing? This is dumb.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I had somebody say to me, why do you and Pat hate youth baseball so much? And I'm like, no, we don't. It's just, there's just too much of it.
Yes.
And smaller quantity.
And so many people are too into it. Like that. People put meaning to it, and it doesn't matter. The same, whether you win or lose, the same thing happens. You're still going to post something stupid on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's it.
And plus, you're changing the youth baseball world throughout the year. Do you know that somebody told me this weekend they weren't charging at TBK at all?
Really?
I can't fathom that. It must have been just Friday night. Remember, we changed the Friday night thing, I think.
Yeah, we did. We changed everything.
So, yeah. I tell you this, you got to hear this play. And hats off to him. I'm going to throw it out to you, and I'm not complaining, and you tell me what your thoughts are. Okay? 9U baseball tournament. Okay? One team's an 8U team, one team's an 9U team, but that doesn't matter. Good baseball game. I think semifinals or whatever. And one team has a kid on second base, nobody out. And the kid, the pitcher, fakes the pickoff to second base. And it's choreographed. It's amazing. The shortstop, second baseman, all the outfielders act like the ball went out to the fence. And the coaches come jumping off the bench get the ball, get the ball. It's all choreographed. And so our kid starts running, and not our kid, the other kid starts running, and the pitcher still has the ball and runs over and tags him out.
I don't know why more teams don't do that.
It's amazing. I literally looked at it and I was like, wow, that was all. I can't get my 8-year-old to put his underwear in the hamper, and they got all of their kids to do the exact same thing at the exact same time. I mean, I was tip my cap to them. It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the problem would be is we would actually throw it to the fence.
That's what made it believable, is because that's normally what kids at that age do, is throw it to the fence. So, but no, we
love
survived.
That. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was. And you know what? I know some of the other coaches too, and I talked to one, and I'm like, well played. And I'm not coaching anybody this year, which is awesome, by the way. So I can just hang out and do those kind of things. All right, enough youth baseball. What else did you do this weekend? Anything but? Did you did you look at anything else going on in the world of sports?
I mowed the grass yesterday at 7:00 at night. What? Oh, watched Caitlin. Watched a little bit of Caitlin Clark's game. That was cool.
You know what?
Fever?
The Fever are freaking really good.
Yeah.
Can I get your thoughts on the flagrant foul? What?
There shouldn't be fouls in basketball. And that was, I don't know. Basketball's soft. It's soft sport.
So I'm saying you disagreed with the flagrant foul.
Yeah, it was a foul for sure.
Yeah.
You know, just trying to get her to miss the 2 free throws. Which I don't know. Did she make those free throws?
She doesn't make too many shots outside the paint. Sometimes she doesn't make shots inside the paint. It's like her, and I'm not trying to be, but like Angel Reese is like, she got 17 rebounds. Well, she missed like all of the shots to get the rebounds. Does that make sense? Like,
That's smart. That's
I guess.
genius.
It's like, you don't know if you remember this, but you probably do. Ricky Davis, went to get a triple-double.
Trying to get the double-double, triple-double.
He missed at his own hoop and grabbed the rebound to try to get a triple-double. That's what I feel like Angel Reese does sometimes. I'm not saying she's not a good basketball player. It's just she misses a lot of shots. So I don't know if she makes the free throws or not. But it was crazy. I mean, Caitlin Clark, a 20, 10, and 10 is pretty good, isn't it?
How about the fact that she's got 3 triple-doubles and she's third all-time in WNBA history for triple-doubles?
It's crazy. And like 40 games or whatever it is. More than that, like 43 or whatever. It's nuts. No, I'm not kidding. You know I sports gamble. I did it a while ago, and I want to add to it. I think the Fever are the best team in the WNBA. And you know what?
Man.
If you would have told me, I just said this earlier in the show too, if you would have told me that like I was talking with Pat Anger about the WNBA on a show that I did in my loft, if you told me that 5 years ago, I thought you were crazy. Like, I think it's cool how, like, the first thing you said was, like, cut my grass and, I watched WNBA basketball. That wasn't happening 10 years ago, 5 years ago, was it?
Well, I think I've just gotten a lot less cool, if that's what I did.
Probably.
That's lame.
Pat, let's get to your Hawkeyes real fast. It was a rough weekend for the Iowa baseball team. I really wanted to see them win a Big Ten championship for the first time since 1990. But Oregon was playing extremely good baseball. So disappointed for Rick Heller and those boys. They have the Big Ten tournament to kind of make up some work, but not the way I was hoping it would go this weekend in Iowa City.
Yeah, obviously thought we could get at least a one. Well, the second game was decently close, right?
Yeah.
My
they
wife,
were winning it for most of the time.
My kids' baseball, my oldest, their baseball team went up to the first game because it was just so much cheaper than going to TBK. So they went to the first game to watch. And my wife texted me. She said, hey, they're winning 8-0 or whatever. I'm like, awesome. And then I turned it on, and it was the other team was winning 8-0.
Oh, she didn't specify? Or she just didn't know?
No. She didn't specify. She was there. Apparently there's a guy on the team. All the kids are taking pictures with him. Some 6'11" guy from Oregon.
Yeah, he's huge.
That's unfair. And then everybody was saying, he could beat you up. So then I had to, defend myself. And,
Did you go up there and beat him up? How'd you defend yourself?
I almost drove up there. I almost drove up there. No, I did 8 push-ups. Saw the kids' names.
So the first things your kids thought of doing was saying that he could beat you up?
Yeah. So I'm pissed.
So you should do it. Let's go to Omaha or wherever I don't even know where the Big Ten tournament's at. I thought it was always in Omaha.
That's the NCAA's, right?
Yeah, but I thought they moved that there too. I'm gonna make myself look dumber than I already am.
Does Iowa baseball? Do they still have a shot at going to the tourney?
I think they gotta win the Big Ten tournament. I do. In fact, it was to a point where if they backed in to the Big Ten tournament or the Big Ten championship, even getting a share, going into that weekend, their RPI was 66. And losing 3 in a row to Oregon isn't going to help that RPI by anything. So I'm guessing they got to win, which stinks because they were as good of a baseball team as in college baseball for about 4 weeks of the season in the middle of the stretch. And it's a really good Big Ten. When you add those teams like USC, UCLA, Oregon, all those kind of teams, when you add those teams, I mean, the conference is as good as it's ever been. To get them, I would have loved to see them win Big Ten championship. And Rick Heller, like most Iowa coaches, all Iowa coaches, are as good as they get. I don't know if you ever ran into Rick Heller or know Rick Heller at all, but he's a really good dude.
No.
So
heard good things. Heard good things from Rokes about him. Matt Rokes is a big Heller fan. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard the sentence Matt Rokes and big in the same sentence. So
wow. Well, I'm not going there, but yeah.
Yeah, he's a good man. What else was I going to talk to you about? What's your golf schedule this weekend or this week? Are you doing any events?
I was supposed to golf tomorrow, but it got canceled. I'm not golfing this week. I think I'm gonna take the week off. Much needed week. I got a little cold. Do you have a cold? Do you have a cold too? Do you ever get a cold?
The worst is when it's nice out.
It's the worst thing. The worst thing in the world. Colds are bad. It's tough, man.
Pat,
my nose is stuffy.
How many surgeries have you had?
I don't know, like 100.
And you're complaining about a cold?
Yeah, my nose is stuffy, Matt. It's terrible. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Is it the worst thing that's ever happened to anybody?
The absolute worst thing.
Poor guy.
Yeah. I'm taking a week off from golf, but I do some stretching and just kind of some mind work, getting ready for the June 14th.
Ooh, I do want to bring that up. We have 2 teams still available. And so 34 teams with 4 weeks to go is really good. I'm excited about that. But think about it. I might
buy those 2 teams just to better my odds of winning.
That's not a bad idea. In fact,
I'm just saying.
You can write that check out right now. We'd appreciate that. That'd be great. But we did, you know what I did this weekend? I went around and I talked at some of the masses at our 2 parishes about the golf outing and tried to get support and all that kind of stuff, some raffle stuff, which is always fun. You know what's weird is that I used to get nervous about doing it, and now I'm not joking. I'm kind of being serious. And now I'm not, because I've done it so much, which is also kind of disappointing because it makes me, 1, it's cool it's gone this long, but 2, it's been that long, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of bummer. So that's the cool part is I'm really excited for the next month because I can start promoting it more and doing all those kind of things. But yeah, if you're interested, GuyRandazzoGolf.com, 2 teams still available, and we're going to fill this thing up and we're going to rock and roll. We're going to kill it. Tom Kaker's going to be in it. Tom went to Nebraska this weekend to watch high school basketball players.
What a weirdo. I wouldn't go to Nebraska for anything. Even if I had to go pick up $1 million check, I ain't going to Nebraska. No way in hell.
I wanted to talk to you about a segment. I want to start a segment called Ask Angerer Anything.
Oh gosh. So
somebody can, the viewers can, and we can do it video wise, not just like a tweet in or anything like that. They can, if they shoot a video, I'll play the video and then you can answer it on a Monday. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I want to do one where we write our own jokes, where I write your jokes, so you got to read them.
Did you see that this weekend?
That's what I want. That was the best.
Can we? I'm dead serious. Let's do it next week. And I know people are like, oh, these assholes are supposed to play horse a year and a half ago. I get that. Sometimes we don't follow through, but let's do it. And we can't get each other canceled. We can put some rules to it.
Yeah, I guess.
We can make fun of each other. How about who's somebody that we can have read the joke and approve them?
Yeah, like a mediator.
Yes.
We need a mediator.
How about Joe?
Well, Joe doesn't respond to our texts. He doesn't care. But I think that'd be one of the few that I trust.
Isn't he
Tommy,
he's our moral compass, isn't he?
Yeah. I think he's the world's.
Which is why we're so messed up, is because he's our moral compass, and that's a slippery slope. So you watched, and the thing is, I keep on waiting for them not to be funny or to run its course on SNL. It's this time might be the best one. It might be.
The best is their reactions.
Yep.
I love their humor, and I love that they're just dying laughing about it. It's so good. It makes me happy, Matt.
So let's do it. We'll seal an envelope so you can't read it and I can't read it. We'll open the envelope so that you can't see it, and we'll each read 3 jokes. Go back and forth.
Oh gosh.
I can't get canceled.
Yeah, we'll see.
I have to, this thing's a multi-million-dollar show. I'm carrying my family by doing this show. If I get in trouble, what am I going to do? You're lucky. Your wife anger eats everything she does. You don't have to be successful. I do.
I need this job. I need both of my jobs so bad.
What
need it.
Oh, you're second. Oh yeah. I forgot you're the voice of Iowa football.
I'm not the voice.
Hey, we need a 4th golfer. Do you think Gary will do it?
No, not a chance.
I don't either.
We could ask him.
You know what? You know where we go. It's that 4-letter word that Joe says no to. You don't have to say the 4-letter word, but anyways. So that's what we're gonna do. Ask Anger Anything. I'm gonna start promoting it. It's gonna be a thing. They can put a video in, and you answer anything. It's not gonna be inappropriate. Like they can't be like, Pat, tell me, like, you can. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. It'll be football. Sure. Some guy will be like, Pat, tell me about your greatest hit and blah blah blah. People love that kind of stuff. I don't know why.
I never really hit anybody that hard. I don't think.
What's the hardest? Who's the hardest person you ever like? Is there a tackle that you hit him and you're like, oh man, I smoked him?
I don't know. Nobody really.
Okay.
I don't think I even tackled anyone. Like the more I think about it, I wasn't even any good at football.
Who did you try to tackle that smoked you the hardest or the worst?
I don't know. I mean, Maurice Jones-Drew, he was tough to tackle. He was like 3 feet tall and super wide and really strong. So I tried to tackle a tree trunk. I don't know. Everybody was hard. Everybody was good.
No, that's
and I was just trying to fall over on him. I was just trying to grab him and hold him down.
So I have
nobody would let me.
My fourth grader, going to be a 5th grader, doesn't want to play football next year because it goes to tackle, which it probably could have been tackle before now. But anyways, and he's like, Dad, I don't want to get hurt. Have you watched a 5th grade football game? They don't tackle. They hug and then fall down.
There's more injuries. There's more injuries in flag football than there is in tackle football. But the one thing,
you made that up.
Yeah, it's a study. Look it up. The University of Iowa did the study on it. Look it up.
Not true.
You can literally Google it. The one thing I would say, if a kid doesn't want to play football right now, tackle football, he shouldn't have to.
No, I'm not going to. But don't you think they should try it?
No, if he didn't want to. The reason why I say this is because he could not want to go out. He could have one bad practice, and it could ruin for him for the rest of his life, where he doesn't want to play. When he goes out, when he wants to go out, then it's not gonna ruin it for him. Football's not, with like baseball and golf and all that stuff. You got to do it when
you can pick it up whenever.
Correct. With football, you can go out your senior year and be just as good as anybody as long as you're, athletic and strong and all that stuff. Football's not something that you need. Football's not something you need to do when you're little.
I'm laughing because you brushed over as long as you're athletic and strong and fast. Like, yeah, those are kind of important.
Well, those are the Dazzo traits, man.
Yeah, they just run through our family. When people look at the Randazzo genes, they're like, man, look at that strength and athleticism.
I will tell you, I never planned on having my kids play tackle football until they were middle school. And it was like 3rd grade. My oldest was running. My oldest was running down the field playing flag football and just gets smoked, just gets taken out. And it's like, wow, it would be so much safer if he had pads on and knew that he was going to get tackled. So then that's when I signed him up for tackle, and then we've just been killing everybody ever since.
You might need to have a chat with Chase. He thinks the world of Pat Anger for some reason. Like, it's just the weirdest. And the reason why is he likes to, I think he likes, I'm trying to figure out a way to say this nicely. He gets away with a lot more when Pat's around than when Pat's not around, if that makes any sense.
You got to have that crazy one-eyed uncle where you can open up with,
Lazy-eyed uncle, I think is the term. So, okay, I'm going to let you go, but we're going to do an Ask Anger or Anything. We're going to get this started, and let's do a joke swap. We'll put it out in the text group right now. We'll have somebody read them. We won't be overly bad. It just will be like, I'm going to get it wrong. What is it when you make fun of yourself? Self-deprecating. Okay. Always, I got to think it out. Self-defecating is completely different than self-deprecating. Completely different. And I've made the mistake too many times. So, all right, friend. Well, enjoy your weekend not golfing. Get mentally focused on what we're doing on June 14th, will you?
Dude, I stay focused. I'm always focused.
You don't look focused at all.
I'm not. I'm tired.
All right. See you, pal.
Love you.
All right. I don't know what we talked about for the last 22 minutes or whatever it's been, but that's Pat Anger here each and every Monday. So we're going to do that. Ask Anger anything. I just thought about it on the fly. And let's have fun with it. Send us your video. We'll put something out on social media, but send me your video and you can ask Pat anything. And then we'll do that on Mondays. And then also, let's do a joke swap. That would be interesting. Could be bad, but could be good. So anyways, we have well reached over halftime of the show, but we're just getting warmed up. Coming up next, really excited to welcome back a familiar face here in the Quad Cities, Celia Palermo. She's with the PGA Tour right now, and she is doing big things, and it was a big weekend of golf. Another majors in the book. Scottie Scheffler is your PGA, won the PGA Championship. So we'll talk about that, the John Deere Classic, a bunch more. Celia Palermo is right around the corner right here on Off the Air on a Monday in the Quad Cities.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad Cities' best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here in the Quad Cities. It was a busy sports weekend, including in the world of golf, where we had another major, the PGA Championship, taking center stage, and it was Scottie Scheffler winning his third major of his career, continuing his dominance. So when I want to talk golf, I turn to this lovely lady right here. A blast from the past. Celia Palermo, she used to have to deal with me, and now she's working with the PGA Tour. You're big time now, girl. Thanks for taking the time for little old me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anytime that I can spend some time with you, Matt, I take it.
I texted her and I said, hey, do you mind hopping on the show? And she responded, who is this? And
okay.
I'm just kidding. She would never do anything like that. It was a fun weekend in golf. I guess we'll get right to it because Scottie Scheffler continues to dominate the world of golf. His third major. I guess when you look back at this weekend, what's the headline? I mean, it's probably an obvious one, but what's the headline that you take away from this weekend?
Yeah, the cream rises to the top at Quail Hollow Golf Club. I love Quail Hollow Club. I did a whole show about Quail Hollow last year because it was the 25th anniversary of the partnership with Wells Fargo and Quail Hollow Club before it became the Truist Championship. Obviously, the Truist was in Philadelphia this year so that Quail Hollow could host the PGA Championship. And Quail Hollow has always been a big boy golf course. And so it is of no surprise that a big-time player like Scottie Scheffler comes out on top. Now, I think the headline to me is that going into the week, especially looking at how Scottie played earlier on in the week, you would not have expected that Scottie would have won. But based on how he finished his third round, he went 5 under in his final 5 holes. He set himself up for a great Sunday, and he gave himself some cushion to have kind of a so-so start. And so that's the headline, is that on Thursday, you wouldn't have guessed probably that Scottie was going to be the champion. He's always going to be the betting favorite, right? Because he's the world number 1. But he wasn't playing like it. There were some things to work out. And so for him to finish well on Saturday and set himself up to have a good Sunday, his back 9 proved that he deserved the championship in the end.
Now, as I've been talking about and maybe complaining about, I watched 16 youth baseball games this weekend, so I missed a good chunk of Sunday, and I'm monitoring it and all that kind of stuff. And I expect Scottie just to run away, and Jon Rahm plays well, evens things up. You mentioned that it was a slow start for Scottie on Sunday. What changed in order for him to get to the finish line?
Well, he found the fairway a little bit more than he did on the front 9, and you've got to do that at Quail Hollow if you want to come out on top. And Jon Rahm just kind of stumbled down the stretch. He found the water on 17. I mean, he had a really rocky finish on the Green Mile, and that's not going to keep you in the championship. And that's ultimately what did Jon Rahm in. He had a very challenging back 9, whereas Scottie picked up 3 birdies minus the bogey on 18. And so when you do that, it's just not going to get it done if you're Jon Rahm. But you have to give credit to Jon Rahm, who did end up tying things. So he did, put some pressure on Scottie to look himself in the eye and say, okay, I'm Scottie Scheffler. When I get to the back 9, I've got to act like Scottie Scheffler, and that's exactly what Scottie Scheffler did.
And that's what the greats do, isn't it? I mean, when he went in and everyone expected, and it might have been a little lackluster, and then when it gets prime time, when it gets time to finish, that's what he did. I mean, that's kind of what you expect from Scottie these days, almost.
Yeah, you got to dig deep, and when he rises to the occasion. That's what you expect out of Scottie Scheffler, like you mentioned. That's exactly what he did, and that's what Quail Hollow calls for. People were talking a lot about how Quail Hollow was playing or how it wasn't playing this week, but I think ultimately when it came down to it on Championship Sunday, it provided a great stage for the best players in the world to duke it out, and it ultimately provided a great stage for the world number 1 to rise to the occasion and to hoist the Wanamaker Trophy.
Celia Palermo joining us right now and off the air. When you look at, we just got that Grand Slam, the career Grand Slam that everybody's waiting for. And now we kind of turn our attention to a newer one with Scottie. Obviously 3 majors. He's halfway to that Grand Slam. It's easy to say, wow, he's playing great. And the age that he is, this is something that can happen. Is it too early to start talking about that? Or is it something we will start talking about no more now that, Rory did his and we got to have a new one to kind of talk about?
Yeah. How do you not? I mean, he's halfway there, right? And he's playing great golf. You think about the kind of player that he is. He's young. And with 2 majors still ahead of us, could he do it this year and knock off the U.S. Open and the Open Championship? Now you got to think about which of those is going to be more difficult for him to do. I think the Open Championship is a more difficult test for a player like Scottie Scheffler. I think a U.S. Open type test definitely suits his game more. In the end, it surprises me a little bit that he hasn't won a U.S. Open yet, to be honest with you. And it's crazy to say that considering that he hasn't been on tour that long.
Yeah.
And the amount that he already has won. But then you comparatively look at Rory McIlroy and how long it did take him to win the career Grand Slam. So who really knows? I mean, that is a career achievement that it just takes so long. I mean, Jordan still hasn't done it as well. I mean, it's something that you just never know because all of these majors tend to demand different things out of your game. And look, Scottie Scheffler is the best player in the world for a reason. And so there's no reason why he couldn't do it, but you just never know. you just never know.
Is Scottie the next to do it? You mentioned Jordan. You mentioned some. I mean, is Scottie the next to do it?
Yeah, he's the next to do it.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock on Jordan. That's a testament to Scottie Scheffler's golf game in current form.
I want to talk to you about that because the last 4 years in like 45 starts, I think, something like that, 18 wins, 3 majors, 2 players, a gold medal. He's only missed the cut 4 times. He's been the number 1 in the world 141 times. Is this as dominant as we've seen a golfer since that guy that everybody talks about named Tiger?
Since, yes. As dominant, no. Because you think about how many weeks that Tiger was world number 1. I mean, Scottie would have to be world number 1 for a lot longer for that to happen. Yeah. You think about the like consecutive cuts that Tiger, the streak that Tiger kept alive. He'd have to make so many in a row for that to happen. I mean, Tiger just owns so many statistical categories and did during his career that separated him during that time. He played during a different era, so it's very difficult to compare him. And Scottie Scheffler certainly had a great season last year with what he did, 9 worldwide wins, obviously considering the gold medal, adding it in there, 7 PGA Tour wins, including the FedEx Cup. I just did a whole show on Tiger's 2000 season, which is arguably the best PGA Tour season in history. Scottie Scheffler is up there, but there are things that have to happen for him to be as good as, and beat that.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Scottie Scheffler would say that too.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think just since him, I don't want to put him in that conversation yet with Tiger, but since Tiger, obviously, it's stuff that just is, you mentioned it. I want to talk about it. PGA Tour Originals, Tiger 2000. You got to work on that. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, like your tweet about it or post, whatever you call it now, kind of hurt a little bit because you were 5. You were 5 when that season happened. But there's nobody, and I say this, and I'm not joking, and I hope, Wheezy's probably going to watch this, but there's no one that I know that knows more about golf than you do. Sorry, Wheezy. And obviously you know all about 2000, and you did it, you helped, this special, kind of talk about being able to do it, because I know it's something you're super proud of. If you haven't watched it, PGA Tour Originals Tiger 2000, it's amazing stuff. I know you're super proud of it. How was it doing that and having that project in front of you?
Wow. It was an honor to work on. Like you mentioned, I didn't get to really live it because I was 5. I didn't get to appreciate the greatness that was happening. So for me, I was going into it, I was aware of the things that he accomplished in 2000, but I wasn't immersed in it. And so it was an opportunity to really immerse myself in the footage, in the events, in the wins, in the greatness, and listen to firsthand accounts of how it all went down from his peers, whether it was listening to, archival sound from when it happened or getting to talk to his peers 25 years later about their reflections since then. I got to interview Butch Harmon about that season, and Butch Harmon was Tiger's coach from 1993 to 2004. And so getting to interview Butch Harmon and hear about how it was really an inside look at who Tiger was as a player, because Tiger won the Masters in 1997 by 12 and then immediately wanted to change his golf swing. And that change of his golf swing after having won a major is what Tiger ultimately attributes to setting off his run in 2000, because he changes his golf swing. He went through a slump in 1998. And then in 1991, he had a slow start to the year, and then he won 8 times towards the back half of the season. And then he rolled that momentum from the back half of 1999 into 2000, where he won the first event of the season right away and just continued along into 2000, where he won 9 times, which included 3 major championships. It was an incredible display of dominance. And he didn't just win, he was winning by incredible margins.
Yeah.
15 shots, 8 shots, 11 shots. It was something that we have a hard time thinking about. I mean, Scottie Scheffler just won by 5 shots, and in today's game, that is a big margin.
Yeah.
That is a big margin.
Yeah.
5 shots. But 15 shots
I
at
remember.
the U.S. Open?
I
At the US
remember it,
Open,
young lady.
What was very cool for me is I got to learn my grandfather, who has since passed on. He was a marshal at the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach in 2000, so he got to witness it too. And so a piece of my family was there, getting to witness that history, even though I wasn't aware of it.
I love that. I love that you did the. I mean, honestly, go take a look at it. PGA Tour Originals
On YouTube.
Yeah, Tiger 2000. Well worth it. A little bit more with Celia before we let her go. I want to talk to you about the John Deere Classic. You know, our 5th major, if you will. And you got to cover several of them with me. You were there with us last year. What is and we had Andrew on last week. The second best John Deere Classic tournament director in tour. According,
he won't let me forget that I said that.
No, nor should he.
I talked to him last week too, and he reminded me of it.
It was 50 days last Wednesday, so you do the math if you want to at home. I think it's like 45 days right now, something like that. You look back at last year's field, and to give that bum Andrew Lehman some credit, it was one of the best fields in decades. Is there a reason for that? And it's not Andrew, but like, is things starting to set up a little better for what the John Deere Classic wants and needs, or because it was an impressive one? And I think we're going to get a good field this year once again.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a good field again. I think, there's players who, like last year, are great players, but need more points with the new, system, basically, if you will, for the postseason, or whether it be to improve their number for the majors. And so they are looking for any opportunity to earn more points. And so obviously the John Deere Classic is still an event where you can earn a spot in the Open Championship, if not otherwise qualified, if you're inside the top 5. And so for players who are not qualified for the Open Championship, if you come in and you play really well and you finish inside the top 5, I mean, that's up for grabs too. That's a big incentive for one. You think about guys like Max Homa, who is a great player, not playing his best right now. Could we see him at the John Deere Classic? We very well could. It would be amazing to see Sepp Straka back here. Obviously, he just won the Truist, which is an incredible feat. He's vaulted his career to new heights, and the John Deere Classic has a very important place in his career as well. I think players think of the John Deere Classic as an important event on the schedule, and it deserves the respect of any event on the PGA Tour schedule. And I hope the field just continues to grow stronger and stronger. And I think players see the need to play events and to earn more points. And, it's a great community event. The number one thing, actually, I do think players think about too is it's a great family event.
Yeah.
So players with young families love to bring their kids. They love going to the Big Dig. And so players that were like the young studs like 3 or 4 years ago are now married, have a couple kids. They're still coming back because this is like their favorite event to bring their families to. And they're still some of the best players. So it just makes sense.
Jordan Spieth won't be here this year. Poor family planning, if you ask me. His wife is expecting in July, so good reason not to be. But I know for a fact how much, and that's another one. I mean, when he was here young and all that kind of stuff, it was one thing, and he brought his family back last year, and his kids went to the Big Dig. And like, I know it made an impact on him, and to the fact that he'd love to bring his kids back to the Big Dig, all things considering. So those kind of things, I think, definitely help our area out a ton. And there's not a single person that's like, I didn't enjoy that. I didn't want to go.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, they love coming. They love the event. They love the community, all those kind of things. So what do you think of the concerts?
I think it's awesome. I think it's so cool. And I love that it is on the golf course as well. I think that's a huge thing. I can't really think of a ton of events that have the concert on the golf course itself. You know, a lot of events have concerts that coincide with their events, but they're all normally off-site. And so it just feels disconnected. But for fans, just to be able to spend the whole day at the golf course, enjoy world-class golf with the best players in the world at TPC Deere Run, and then to be able to hang out and listen to some great musical artists as well. I mean, I can't think of a better day.
If you could pick the concert, what would Celia do? And then that's my tough question.
Nobody that you would know.
What do you mean by that, young lady? Are you saying I'm too old to know?
Yeah. You've never heard of the artist John Summit. I promise you.
I have.
Even though he's an Illini. He's an Illini.
I have heard that name.
He's an Illini. He's a DJ.
That would be your choice?
Yeah, that would be my choice. John Summit. He's a DJ.
Have you told Andrew this? Like, you can make it happen.
No, I have not told Andrew this.
All right. Well,
I don't think it's really.
Is Andrew too old to know who John Summit is?
Is what?
Is Andrew too old to know who John Summit is?
No.
But he's like 4 years younger than me. How am I the old guy?
4 years younger than you. Exactly.
Oh, okay. Before we let you go, you have something you're super proud of, the drop on the Golf Channel. You're hosting tonight. You're one of the hosts. You recently have been named one of the hosts to it. Like, think about this, Celia. Like, how many years ago was it that you were like dealing with me and Cuff, and now you're hosting a show on the? Are you kidding me? On the Golf Channel?
I know, it's pretty cool. I'm very, very stoked. I just feel honored. We just for those that don't know, the PGA Tour just opened a brand new studio building here in Ponte Vedra called PGA Tour Studios. And with that, we launched a new studio show called PGA Tour The Drop, and it airs on Golf Channel every week, with the first airing being on Monday nights. We launched 2 weeks ago, so I am gearing up for episode 3, 4, and 5. We have a cast of characters as our hosts, and so we kind of rotate in and out who is hosting each week, but I'm excited to be hosting the next couple of weeks. It's just a true honor and a privilege to be able to do it.
Can you give us a sneak peek at what tonight's is going to be about? Is that legal? Is that okay or no?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We are going to phone our friend Matt Every, who will be everybody knows Matt Every in the Quad Cities.
Yes.
So he is one of our hosts on the drop as well. He does a ton of PGA Tour Live now, for those who don't know. He's also a 2-time PGA Tour winner of the Arnold Palmer Invitational. And so he was at the PGA Championship last week, working for ESPN Plus. He actually followed Scottie Scheffler's group. And so on Thursday. And so he had an up close look at Scottie, Rory, and Xander. And so we're going to talk to him about the PGA Championship. We're going to preview the Charles Schwab Challenge. We are going to get a look at some behind the scenes content that we've done with Xander Schauffele. We've got some new segments that we're working on. So just a lot of fun stuff coming up.
Listen to that. Celia, you have far surpassed. I just thank you for taking the time.
Stop it.
No, and I mean it. I'm giving you a hard time and everything, but you know how damn proud I am of you. And I mean that. Cuff is, we all are. So tonight, and you're in the Quad Cities, go check out A Familiar Face, The Drop, and it's on the Golf Channel. If you miss it tonight, it's several airings and all that kind of stuff as well. And you miss us a little bit, right?
I miss you guys all the time. I'm going to be back for the John Deere Classic. So I will be there all week, and we'll be thrilled to be hopefully seeing a lot of you guys out there. Might even bother our buddy Matt here. So.
See, that's the thing is like, it'll be perfect because you'll come in town and you'll enjoy it. And then right when you get annoyed by me, then
I get to
you
leave.
Right? It's perfect. It's like, oh, it's great to see Dazzo again. And then she's, oh my gosh, I got to get out of here. So, hey, thank you, young lady. Everybody will be tuning in to the drop later on tonight. Fantastic stuff with Scottie Scheffler. And we'll talk to you real soon, young lady. I can't wait to see you in 45 days-ish.
I know,
like
a couple of weeks.
We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to play in. Where Portillo's here, where we're going to eat there, Lorraine's here. Polar Pops. It's going to be a great time. So, all right, young lady, we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me.
That is the one and only Celia Palermo. Super proud of that young lady. A lot going on in the world of golf. Of course, Scottie Scheffler, the talk of the sport this past weekend, that John Deere Classic right around the corner as well. Go check out the drop tonight on the Golf Channel. We got more to get to on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Monday in the Quad Cities. A rainy, cloudy, nasty. I didn't think it was going to rain till later. I'm kind of frustrated because I was going to put some stuff on my yard, and now I looked outside and it's raining. But we need it. That's a good thing. It's been a fun Monday here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. A couple things before we wrap things up. One, I need to give Pat Anger credit because he just sent me to correct me. He sent me a article that does prove, if you're listening earlier in the show, youth flag football is more dangerous than tackle football, according to a study at the University of Iowa. So I called him a liar, and I still think he's lying, or he got lucky, but congrats to him. Some women's college basketball news. Emily Rodriguez from Central Florida has committed to the University of Iowa to transfer. A 6-foot freshman, averaged 12 points, 5.3 rebounds a game last year. First team all Big 12 freshman. Looks like a really solid pickup for Coach Jensen and the Hawkeyes. And when you think about it too, they needed they had talked about wanting to, add something to their front court. Pretty good piece. As a freshman, averaged 12 and 5. So a nice pickup for I almost said Lisa Bluter and company, for Coach Jensen and company up in Iowa City. Also, last week we talked a lot of high school football, some opening's still out there. The Alleman job is still open. Just opened up on Thursday. The Sherrard job is still out there as well. I mentioned last week that Ridgewood was probably still looking for head coach. I was corrected, and I meant to correct it on Friday. Coach Elder, who left Ridgewood to go to Bureau Valley, let me know, and I meant to say something on the show on Friday, and I forgot. But they do have a new head coach at Ridgewood. Dawson Anderson is the head coach there. He spent the last 2 years as an assistant at Woodstock Marion. He's a Cambridge grad, so seems like a really good fit. So Ridgewood has a new head football coach as well. So it's been a fun show. We had Katy Hasson in studio, 19 years at Rockridge, I think 33 years in administrative coaching, teaching. And really, it was funny. My wife texted me because I gave her a hard time that she never watches the show, and she's listening. So, and she said it great because my wife, as I mentioned, was a Rockridge or is a Rockridge grad, and she mentioned, well, first that she does watch. So yes, thank you for watching, sweetheart. And then she said that Katy Hasson is an awesome person and role model. Wish she would have been at Rockridge when I was there. So that's what everybody says about Katy Hasson. So it's very cool. Great of her to make the quick trip over from Rockridge High School to chat this morning. If you missed it, it'll be up online in the YouTube. You can go back and look at it and all that kind of stuff. But one of the best in the business. So great going down memory lane. I joked with her when she was leaving that I could have done the whole show chatting with her. So go check that out as well. Also some really interesting stuff because she's been on the IHSA board for 9 years and served as the president. And there are big issues facing high school athletics and the IHSA and all those kind of things. So really great feedback from her. So go check that out right now if you happen to miss it. We also had Pat Anger on. I don't know if we got anything out of Pat Anger. I was going to try to say that, usually I say, this is what I learned from Pat. Well, I guess I learned that flag football is more dangerous than tackle football. But we're going to do two things. We're going to have an Ask Angerer segment. I'm going to start working on that. I'm going to want people to send in a video with their question. So just grab your phone, ask the question. We'll play the question. Pat will answer it. Anything. So we're going to work on that. And then also, I want to do a joke swap. I think it would be great. If you watch Saturday Night Live, they write jokes on Weekend Update for each other. They're amazing. The last one was this past weekend. So I think we're going to do that next weekend as well. So that's kind of what I got out of Pat Anger today, and also his great feedback on the foul that was upgraded to a flagrant foul in the Fever game, where he just laughed and said that basketball shouldn't have fouls, which pretty well thought out. And then also I want to thank Celia Palermo. Scottie Scheffler is won his third major, halfway to a Grand Slam. Also check out Celia tonight hosting The Drop on the Golf Channel. That's at, I think, 9 o'clock Central. I'm going to put something up on social media. So go check out Celia. She's doing awesome things. We talked about the John Deere Classic as well. Great to have her take the time to join us on a Monday here in the Quad Cities. She's coming back in town for the John Deere Classic and help out at that. So I'm extremely excited about that as well. So go check out today's show if you missed it. A lot of fun. If you missed Friday's show, Brett Bielema was on. So go check that one out as well. And we got another fun show, or fun week, I should say, of shows planned for you coming up on Off the Air this week as well. So enjoy your rainy, gloomy Monday here in the Quad Cities. We'll be back with another episode of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo coming up tomorrow. We'll also catch up with Kyle Huseman soon, because we got basketball to talk about with the women's side of things, and also baseball with the Iowa baseball team looking to right the ship at the Big Ten tournament. So as always, we want to thank our amazing sponsors who allow us to do this show each and every day. And we'll see you guys back here tomorrow, right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo.